seated. One of the amazing things of this life is that the same problems the church about 2,000 years ago had, the church today still has. And Paul speaks in his letter to the Corinthians, and it is not the most pleasant letter. It can be seen as one of chastisement. And he says to them that I really cannot speak to you as spiritual beings because you are still of the flesh. He goes on to say that I cannot feed you solid food because you are still at the stage of milk. One of the major problems with the church in Corinth was factionalism. There were cliques forming under the banner of Paul's name versus those forming under the banner of Apollos' name, who was another missionary to the Corinthian church. But the thing is, Paul in his letter is having none of it. He and Apollos are simply servants. And that is where we need to see ourselves, because often we get so caught up in what is going on, we fail to remember that we are servants. We are here for a purpose. And that purpose is to serve. Not to get praise heaped on us, but simply to serve. Now, although they had different rules, neither of them is more valuable than the other. And that is important. The planter, Paul, and the irrigator, if you wish, Apollos, if you're going to use an agricultural metaphor, are equally vital to the success of the harvest, but neither of them are responsible for growth. We all have a job to do, and we need to realize that no one job is more important than the other. Jobs become more important when persons are more important. When we see one person as more important than another person, suddenly that person's job is more important, and vice versa. First, we need to humble ourselves. If we are supposed to be a servant, we do so gladly, but we do so with humility. Not necessarily sheepish, but humble. When we humble ourselves, something beautiful happens. We work together. Because to humble yourself isn't necessarily to lower yourself to another person's standard. It might be to raise someone to yours, where you understand that we are all equal in the eyes of God. Inasmuch as we say that, we don't believe it, because there are some jobs that are better than some still. So, we're educated this way. We go off into a society that is structured this way. So the church, therefore, has a serious uphill battle. Because when we have white-collar and blue-collar jobs, and then there are jobs that don't have a collar at all, how then will we say to someone, you are equal? When Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you are better than or not as good as a whole host of people, it is difficult on Sunday mornings to think or even believe that we are all equal. Because the reality is, you don't believe it. However, We sung a beautiful hymn just now. We have a gospel to proclaim. The best way to proclaim that gospel is together. We can only proclaim that gospel together if we are willing to work together. We can only work together if we see each other on the same level. Or if we understand that God sees us all as the same. Not just sinners, but persons who are redeemed by the blood of Christ. Because when I am better than you are, I have to tell you what to do. When you are not as good as whoever, you have to be told what to do. When there is the telling and the receiving, there's no sharing, because sharing happens when we're on the same level. If we're not on the same level, it is a giving and a taking. We're not called to give and to take. We are expected to share. And the thing is, the things we have to share are not even ours. At the root of it all is the love of God. Not our love, but the love of God. If it was ours, we could do whatever we want with it. But love comes from God. In a few days, we will have some strange expressions of love. Okay? And the 15th will roll around and love might cease. Or things might cease because love was not given the way we expected. You see, love is of God. Love is God. We can only share the love of God when we have it. I can tell you, I will give you $50 that I have in my pocket. But if I don't have $50 in my pocket, chances are you can't get anything. We can only share the love of God if we have the love of God. We can only have the love of God if we have accepted the love of God. The thing is, have we? Because the love of God comes from spiritual living where we understand certain things. With that understanding, we greet each other with respect. With that understanding, we share among ourselves respectfully. Because that is what it really comes down to. Love, strange enough, is hinged on respect. When respect is missing, love cannot prevail. A lot of us believe that we are loving, but we're not. Paul is saying to this church, if you're not working as a team, you're not God's church. When we fail to work as a team, we fail to be children, disciples, servants of God. I came across an essay by Leonard Reed from a book all the way back in 1958 called I, Pencil. And in expressing his point, he pointed out that no one person knew how to make a pencil. Everyone had a very specialized job. But at the end of it, you have a very simple looking product. Wood with a piece of lead stuck in it and painted, sometimes in beautiful colors. But everybody knew what they had to do and they did it. Do we know what is our role within the church? Or are we willing to accept what our role is? Or are we so concerned with the role that others are doing or not doing that we don't do ours either? Because that often happens. Where we can see everything that is wrong We can see what should be, but what are we doing? Is our role to judge? I doubt it. We all have a part to play as members of this team. You see, by the grace of God, different people play different roles by the grace of God. We need to accept differences, because to my mind, that is one of the major problems with the church. We speak about all being members of the body of Christ, but sometimes you get the feeling that all the members are an eyeball. And if you're not doing what the eyeball does, then you don't fit in, because you don't belong to the body. Yet still we want persons to believe we are all members of the body of Christ. The body of Christ has different members with different roles to play. Do we accept the differences, or do we reject the differences? If Christians believe what Paul is saying about the God-given nature of different roles, we will behave differently. We will act differently, and church as we know it will be different. We need to realize, one, none of us are the same. There's some who are similar, but none of us are the same. When we want all, it is not going to work. A team is dependent or relies on all. No one person gets or gives all. Church can only be successful if every member acknowledges that they are a member of the team and live and respond as a member of that team. I came across a story that I'll share with you. It was about a washerman, a gentleman who washed clothes for other people. And he had two donkeys. Let's call them Donkey A and Donkey B. Donkey A felt that he was superior to Donkey B. And he always tried to get the washerman's attention by taking more of the load and walking as fast as he could in front of him. Donkey B was just an ordinary donkey. He tried as hard as he could, but he couldn't carry as much as Donkey A or impress the washerman by walking in front of him. Now, after a period of time, the washerman began to put pressure on Donkey B. But Donkey B couldn't meet his expectations. Eventually, Donkey B started getting punished. One day, Donkey B was crying and asked Donkey A to help. And he said, "Dear friend, it is only the two of us. Why do you compete against each other? If we worked together, we would carry an equal load and at a normal speed." Donkey A became even more competitive, and the next day he boasted to the washerman that he could carry more and run faster than Donkey B, and he did. But the washerman, as expected, became even angrier and demanded Donkey B to go even faster, punishing him more when he couldn't. Now, under the pressure, the poor donkey collapsed in great fatigue and quietly passed away. As a result of the collapse, Donkey A felt like he was on top of the world, having proven that he was superior in skill and ability. But now he also had to carry Donkey B's load. Now, for a short time, Donkey A was able to carry both loads, but he eventually became fatigued and weak. The washerman had no compassion on his once superior animal, but now tired animal. He yelled and demanded more, but as hard as this donkey tried, he couldn't come close to satisfying his demands. Finally, the day came when the washerman was tired of the fatigued animal, and he went in search of some new animals. And the moral of this story is to recognize that regardless of how strong we might think we are, we cannot do it alone. It is important that we work together. Worrying more about our own performance, taking all the credit and trying to do more than we're capable of, eventually comes back to bite us in places that we don't necessarily want. In addition, those of us who head or lead groups must also recognize that given all of the work to the seemingly superstar, eventually burns them out and creates low morale amongst the other team members. This is where we find ourselves as church in Corinth and indeed in Barbados. We are members of a team. We need to understand that often our failings come because we do not work as a team. Paul said some very damning things to the church in Corinth, and unfortunately, all of those things still apply to us. It makes no sense knowing what the problem is, having the answer, and not doing it. As we continue to step out into the world, as we continue to strive to be servants of God, as we endeavor to share the love of God, let us be mindful that it is not a job for one or a few, but for all. Amen. I invite you now to stand as we reaffirm our faith in the words of the Nicene Creed. We believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all that is seen or unseen.